God, I wish I could be gay.
Maybe you try it. Maybe you see what it's like. Maybe I watch.
Did you say you wanted to watch her?
Yes.
And now, CheezWits.
Wow.
And here we are.
Everybody, boom, right at once. Boom. Right there.
I don't get why
You're
Chris
fuzzy?
is able to get into the call and Wally has to be admitted to the call.
Well, because Wally's going to be admitted to the 6th floor of St. Elizabeth's.
Oh,
and
that's
I'm
true.
already there.
Okay.
And you are blurry as fuck.
Yeah, you are very blurry.
You're right, I am. I don't know what the hell's going on. It'll fix itself eventually.
Oh, that's good. That's good. The Sybil Shepherd filter's nice.
Yeah.
She's not using her silk screen camera today. She's using her Vaseline camera.
I don't know what's going on. You're going to have to either look somewhere else or ignore it.
Well, I don't mind looking at you in this way.
Fucking fuck.
I mean, gay people fuck too. It's fine.
See? Now I'm going to have to turn away. The picture cleared up. Now I've got to turn away. See what you do to thee?
Mm-hmm.
See what you do to thee? Just very quickly, I don't want to dwell on any of this bullshit, but the whole ICE raid shit. You see a meat packing company in Omaha, Nebraska was raided. And I feel really bad for the people who are being toted away, but I fucking laugh at the white motherfuckers who voted for this shit. Because fuck them.
Mm-hmm.
Because this is what they wanted.
Yeah.
Get rid of them motherfuckers. Get them out of here. Yeah, okay, motherfuckers. When you get dead chickens sitting around smelling like shit.
You're getting what you voted for.
And when it starts costing you fucking, $10 a pound for chicken.
Wally, weren't you the same one who last week said, I'm not really affected by anything Trump's doing, so I don't know. Maybe I just haven't noticed anything.
I'm not affected by it because I don't live in Omaha, Nebraska.
You think they're not going to do any raids in Maine?
We don't have. We just don't have meat packing. We don't have that kind of shit. We don't have a high concentration of people working in industries that demand huge amounts of immigrant employees until this fall, when apple picking season comes, and when migrant workers come this way. Then there will be issues. But we don't have meat packing. We used to have an eggplant. Which had, a million chickens, and there a lot of migrant workers who picked eggs and worked in the eggplant, but that closed down. So we don't have that anymore. We just don't have. And the other thing is the migrants we have that populate this area are mostly Somali and African.
That still sounds brown.
But they're not going after Somali and African as much as they're going after brown people. Not Somali people are black people. They're going after brown people.
Well,
South America.
They're going after unwhite people.
Yeah, but they're not making, at least in this area, they're not making any concerted effort to go after people who are black.
Actually, I'm kind of surprised by that because Trump likes to go after states where the governors piss him off. So
yeah, we could be a state. We do have the Democratic governor.
Maine's probably in line.
Yeah, you would think, and we are right next to Massachusetts.
Your governor did say "fuck you" very publicly to him. So
and he backed down. And she took him to task, and basically kicked his tail. It was a sort of a moot fight. So, but people voted for this shit.
Yep.
And they're getting it. I'm surprised not to see more happening in Texas. Florida's getting its ass handed to it in a lot of these raids. In a lot of their communities, especially the Cuban community. Again, brown communities. That's where it's getting hammered. Okay, that's all I want. I don't want to fucking dwell on it. What I do want to say though, Chris, did you listen to Jess's her book read that on her new page?
No, nor do I plan on it.
She does such a sexy little Southern lilt.
Here's what gives me the most joy out of that book. That book has not come out yet. And it is, as you can probably tell from the accent, it's based in Texas. And there's a line in it where she says, "I've decided you leave Texas, blah, 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 blah." When I first worked in Texas, and I've probably talked about this before, I was on the radio in Texas. The
devil?
I think they called you the Yankee bitch, didn't they?
They would say things like, they would yell at me for how I talked. They would yell at me for being a Yankee. And so the idea that a man born and raised in Texas hired me to narrate his book set in Texas and do a Texas accent gives me so much joy.
Well, and he would, so I would say this to that. He would know, he would recognize a pretty decent, Texas accent, or at least an acted out one.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't, right? I just wouldn't recognize one. So it is.
If people are going to nitpick it, then yeah, they're probably going to go, that's not a Texas accent.
Yeah, but it's not supposed to be authentic Texas, right? You're not trying to be. You're trying to get as close as you can to whatever, but you're not trying to say, "I'm a Texan."
Right.
Look at my big hat.
What is the Texas accent?
I have no idea.
It's like a Southern accent.
I think it's softer. I think that there's a hardness in certain areas where you don't have, like in Virginia.
Yeah.
It's not as dumb sounding as the Carolinas.
And I don't put a real heavy accent on it. It's light. Instead of saying I would say ah.
Right. It sounds more like a person who was born in Texas, lived there for maybe the first 18 years, went away to college, and then came back.
And interestingly, the main character of the book and the character whose voice you would have heard in that clip was born in Texas, moved away to Montana, and then moved back.
Look at me!
Acting!
Look at me picking that shit out of my ass.
My acting class has paid off. I got to call my coach.
Wow. Yeah, that's what it sounded like to me. It sounded like somebody who had been. It reminded me a little bit of, not me, but me sometimes. When I'm tired, sometimes my Virginia comes out from the 4 or 5 years I lived in Virginia.
Yeah.
Sometimes you'll hear a hint of Virginia if I'm tired. Or you could also hear a hint of Boston. You'll hear a hint of my Massachusetts.
I mean, every once in a while, my upstate New York comes out.
Right. Yeah, they do. For me, it's tired. It's if I'm tired or just it just happens. It's just a natural process. Not that I'm not at all cognizant of it unless it happens. Then I become cognizant of it. Like, whoa!
I'll hear it sometimes in my recordings, and I'll have to go back and redo a word because I can't think of an example. But you lived in upstate New York, Wally. Like CAT is a 2-syllable word. Cat.
Yeah, but it's a very it's the nasal A.
Yeah.
It's that nasal A.
Yeah.
It's sort of like a teenage girl saying, Noah. Do you want some of that? Noah.
Noah.
Who is this Noah guy?
Yeah, so this is funny. On that new page, I got a message today, and it was just a link to a book on Audible. I don't know the guy who sent it, but it was the author of the book. Like, I could see his name match the author of the book. But it was a link to a book on Audible, which means he doesn't need a narrator because it's already on Audible. And so I clicked the link, and I can see that it was published 2 days ago, and it has no reviews yet. And I'm not sure why he sent this to me because he didn't say anything about it. And so I messaged him back and I was like, hey, thanks for reaching out. What can I do for you? And he said, oh, I was just offering a copy of my book. I'm the author. Well, he wasn't offering it for free because he just sent me a link to buy it on Audible. And so I just went, oh, cool, thanks.
Chris, what is Chris doing?
I don't know. Chris, what are you
Touching
doing?
myself.
He sounds like he's in the background, like he's the guy in the background that you can't see that's going through shit, coins and stuff.
Yeah.
There's all these little sounds going on.
I was drinking my Dunkin'.
Oh.
See, I thought I heard a ding. But Dunkin' yesterday, I went to Dunkin' yesterday, and I went again this morning, and I'm telling you, again, 3 cars, 4 minutes waiting, no car moves. I have to pull out a line. I fucking cannot wait that long, because if I'm waiting 4 and the first car doesn't move, the car in front of me is going to get 4. It's going to be 15 minutes before I see a swig of coffee.
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait. I just can't. I got too much shit to do. The whole idea of those drive-thrus is get it in and get it done. Fucking, they used to have a timer. Have you ever seen the timer they usually have? And they're trying to push people through 30 seconds at a time.
They do that down here.
Yeah.
Fucking here. I don't know what the fuck. We need some migrants is what we need. We had some migrants working up in that motherfucker. People would be going in and out quick, real fast.
Then you'd have to wait for ice to come through, and it would be a whole thing.
And you know what I was thinking that I would like. I'm not clever enough. I'm clever enough to think of this. I'm not clever enough to put it together. But it would be so great to put together an Ice Ice Baby meme with using vanilla ice. It would just be so. I mean, I got the idea of a song. How you could manipulate the song in my mind and that kind of shit, and then or Cold as Ice, and just show fucking ice guys, dragging people away and having foreigner playing in the back. There's just so much you could do. How fast do you think you'd get sued if you did something like that?
I don't know. I mean, TikTok's got all kinds of shit like that.
Yeah. It says, have you ever seen, speaking of TikTok, have you ever seen that, I don't know where he's from. I think he's somewhere maybe in Eastern Africa or something, or Namibia or something, but he's the most famous or most popular TikToker, or
the guy who shows you the easiest way to do stuff.
Yeah. And he just left the country because I just read, I don't know that he did, but I read an article about he left the country because left this country because he's so worried about being picked up by ICE that he went back to Africa. I don't know if it's true, but that's the kind of weirdness is going on. Like, just people who have roots are just saying, fuck it, get out of here. Fuck that.
Can't blame him.
And what about Brian Wilson?
What about Brian Wilson?
Oh, he died.
He's dead.
When?
Hours ago, maybe.
Oh, I've been working on stuff today. I haven't looked at social media.
Well, the thing that catches me the most about it is there was a headline that said influential music person Brian. Influential? He fucking created some shit.
Yeah.
He's a little more than influential.
That's really sad. I saw him at the Grand Ole Opry last year or the year before with a country group called Low Cash. They used to be called the Low Cash Cowboys.
Was he was he spirited and gregarious?
Yeah, they were great. It was Low Cash and the Beach Boys because they had worked together on a song, and then Low Cash played with the Beach Boys at some shows and stuff.
Was Stamos playing with the Beach Boys?
No.
Yeah,
It was Brian and one of the other guys. I don't remember. remember.
The Beatles or the Beatles often, and even McCartney, I think, still does talk about how influential the Beach Boys were on the Beatles because of some of the recording techniques and overlays and going backs and doubles and triples and all of that horse shit. But to say influential, it's written by somebody that's 24 years old that has no idea of the history or cares about the history of the Beach Boys. I'm not a huge Beach Boys fan, but I recognize the impact the Beach Boys had on music.
Well, the AP says visionary leader and Summers Poet Laureate.
See, now that's a headline, right? And that's an accurate headline.
Songwriter and leader of the Beach Boys.
No, to me, Poet Laureate, it sounds like Nipsey Russell died.
Now that's very good, Chris.
USA Today says Beach Boys co-founder and God only knows genius.
See, now those are great. So I didn't get deep into them. The one I saw was just influential.
Rolling Stone says Beach Boys co-founder and architect of pop.
Those are accurate, right?
Mm-hmm.
But those are also probably those are written by people who live music or have a knowledge of the history of pop music and music in general. That doesn't end like it doesn't start with Rihanna and end with I don't know Rihanna.
Yeah,
it goes somewhere else. So, Jess, I noticed. Are you planning on being a chaplain anytime soon?
Maybe not this year, but we'll see what happens with the bank account next year.
What's the good gospel, Jess?
LinkedIn is just fucking useless.
Absolutely.
It's just and not just it's mostly LinkedIn. Like when it says here are the jobs that you'd be great for based on your LinkedIn profile, and my profile is streaming radio station, trade publication, all of these things that are very clearly broadcast industry. And LinkedIn's like, here's a nursing coordinator job. Here's a swim instructor job.
Yeah, the swim instructor was great too.
Here's a Japanese television show host job. What?
Yeah, I get the same thing on Indeed. I think, what?
And the same thing, the same shit happens on the unemployment website. There's a thing you can do where you search for jobs, and if you click apply on the listing on the the state unemployment website, it opens up another website, but then it automatically counts toward a job that you have applied for, whether you apply for it or not, on your weekly check-in when you have to apply for at least 4 jobs. But so I go through this thing, and I tried searching country music, but all of these fucking traveling nurse listings put in the description of the job that it's in the home of country music, Nashville, Tennessee. So I can't use country music. Then I put music industry, and any listing for Vanderbilt is right next to Music Row, the home of Nashville's music industry. I cannot search that site and eliminate medical jobs.
Oh, there are so many medical. By the way, those traveling nurse jobs, not for nothing, they pay like $60 to $70 an hour.
Yeah, and if I had any schooling in nursing, that would be relevant to me.
I know. I'm just saying that those are from fucking high-paying jobs. Jabbing people with a needle apparently is fucking. There's some good money in that shit.
Well, you have to have a little bit of knowledge.
I get the same fucking thing on Indeed. I get these things that are like because I have in my resume somewhere it says director of operations for a couple 3 media outlets.
Program director is a nursing term as well.
Yes, absolutely. I get the medical director of operations for the outpatient clinic. What?
Mm-hmm.
And then you start reading the description. Gotta have to know about, and it's always computer programs. There's tons of need to know this program and have experience in this program. 3 years of this program. Need to have a master. What the fuck are you talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Director of operations of, yeah, that's who you want. You want to see me, who can barely fucking dial a phone on a cell phone. You want me in charge of the technical aspect of your healthcare.
By the way, Wally, did you see our post on the CheezWits Facebook page about the show being delayed? And who knows if this show will ever be heard, because at this point the host is still down.
Well, why can't you just put it up on YouTube? I mean, aren't we on YouTube, or is that only where the commercials are?
No, we are on YouTube. I could put it up there, I guess.
Yeah.
It's auto posted from, so it just means it might get posted twice is essentially it, because when our usual hosting spot puts it up, I have another thing that automatically creates a video and posts it to YouTube. So that basically just means that.
I did see something that there was a reliance upon me to get the technical aspect of things going. I think.
And Jesus Christ, Scott Schlein, like, what's on the Lost Show? Is it like the Honeymooners? No.
The Lost Show.
I had a listener from my former job send me an email and say that not only, saying that he had canceled his subscription and deleted the app from his phone, and he was assuming that the podcast was on hold because of my job. And I was like, no, that's not it. Although it could be related, because our hosting site is connected to the company that I worked for.
Yeah, but the company you worked for is so fucked.
Yep.
They are really so fucked.
Yeah.
And they're really so fucked for the same reason that lots of companies get so fucked. You got to pay the bills, man.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just pocket the cash.
Oh, there was no cash to pocket. That was the problem.
Well, whatever they did, you got to pay. You got to pay. Those artists need to get paid.
Mm-hmm.
It's just
the problem.
Yeah,
is
that Barbara Streisand needs to get paid.
Yeah, she's struggling. The CEO panicked every time something happened. He panicked and stopped paying the bills. It happened in 2020 during the pandemic when he cut our pay and stopped paying for the music. And then we got all caught up again and we thought we were back on track. And he panicked because Tesla unbundled streaming music. We were the streaming music provider for Tesla. And it was bundled into their connectivity package. So when people bought a new Tesla right off the line, if they bought the internet connectivity package, they got a subscription to us, and we got paid for every subscription. And that was a huge source of our revenue. And Tesla decided last summer that they were going to unbundle music from that package. And so that was a big hit to revenue. And the CEO panicked and decided, oh, we better not pay the bills for a while until we know how much revenue we've got. And he didn't tell anybody that's what he was doing. And so here we are.
Yeah. Sounds like bad management to me.
You think?
Yeah. But you know what? He can go on Indeed and get him a good nursing job. Yeah, he'll be able to do. Yeah, I think that XM Radio, they benefited a lot from when they became the default in many cars. Like I know every Volvo I ever bought, XM was included for 6 months, and then you could buy in. But what a boon for them!
Yeah, my Chevy has that, but I don't buy it, so I don't.
Yeah. No, I have a lifetime subscription because I've had it for fucking like 20. The year one or the second year in, I bought into XM and bought a lifetime subscription, which was like $300 in 25 years ago or something, whatever it was. I think it was about 25 years ago, and I still have it. So I don't pay anything because I bought my subscription. It's never changed. They've never changed it. Now I bought subsequent subscriptions with other cars, but they changed it to you could only change your subscription to 3 different vehicles. So if you bought a car and then your lifetime, and then you bought another one 3 years later.
So it wasn't your lifetime.
Right. Oh, they changed it to that. But the lifetime subscription I have that I still have, I've had for 25 years and it still works fine.
Oh, but the
Because
other lifetime subscriptions are only for the lifetime of somebody who doesn't live very long.
Right, and then they changed it to you can only switch it to 3 different vehicles or a hard box or whatever what it was. See, that's what they made tons of money. Their I think one of the big mistakes they made. They used to sell, you can only play it on this radio. You had to buy their radio, their packages, their Chris, what's the word I'm looking for when you can only use like an Apple device?
Proprietary?
Yes, proprietary. So you had to buy the proprietary radio for your car if you wanted like the radio and you plugged it in, blah, blah, blah. But then when they went to internet, you don't need any of that shit anymore. So they don't sell boom boxes as far as I know that much anymore, or the radio that you can put into the car.
I haven't seen one.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, forever, right?
Absolutely. It's been
they made
totally
tons
forever.
of money selling those fucking proprietary boom boxes.
Those probably died around the same time HD radios did.
Well, I think it died around the same time. No, I think it lasted a little longer than that. I think it died around the same time that a Garmin died.
Mm.
Right around the time that a TomTom died. Yeah.
Yeah, TomTom. Yeah, TomTom more. People still buy handheld Garmins for the city walks up, but not for their vehicles and shit.
Yeah, I mean it's my first one for the car was that weird little odd shaped Sony thing that you had to put the fishtail antenna on the roof.
Yes.
And
same.
You hooked it up into your cassette deck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember it's sort of just like the old FM converter that you plug into your tape deck when you only had an AM radio.
See, I had the cassette to 8-track adapter in the 77 Cougar.
Cassette to 8-track, did you?
Wow.
Yeah, 8-track to cassette.
Oh my God. It's so fun. But again, that's just technology, how it went. That kind of technology, by the way, Jess, I'm okay with. Old analog technology I can do shit with.
You don't say.
that I can still work with. Any of the rest of it, I'm fucking lost.
Mm.
I just do you know how many times I've forgotten passwords to Netflix? I don't. Do you have Netflix?
Yeah.
Does it ever just all of a sudden say, it just signs you out and say, oh, you have to sign back? So on my TV, It's always on there, but every now and again, maybe a couple, 3 times a year, it'll just sign out, and then I'll have to just punch everything back in. I can't fucking remember my shit.
That's never happened to me before.
I don't pay for these problems anymore.
Yeah. But but you can't. I don't expect you to figure this out, Wally, but there's actually a way that you can go to a link on your computer, and maybe you have your password saved on your computer.
Oh, yeah, I do.
And you can sign in to the TV from the computer.
Yeah, I do that. Yeah, that's what I end up doing because, well, I do it. I don't because I have that in my computer. But if I'm using my phone and I'm like in the car or something and I'm parked and waiting for some work and I want to look at something, then it comes up and says, "What's your password?" I say, "Fuck, I don't know what it is. I need to transfer that to my phone too. I just haven't done it." Mm. And by the way, Chris, do we remember? Jess, can you roll back that tape from last week when Chris said,
"Yeah, I never sent you the info."
I'll send it to you.
Just look for Timmy Box, TIMMY box.
Timmy Box. Well, is that a transgender box? What is that?
No. That would be the Tom box. This is the Timmy box.
Oh, okay. TIMMY. Okay, I'll look that up. But it was one of the last things he said. Yeah, I'll get that right out to you. Mm. And again, he let me down again. Well, this relationship doesn't feel equal.
Do you remember when you let me down, Wally?
Well, I tried to do it easily.
When you sent that text and told me how proud of me you were, and I love you, and I'm sorry we don't talk enough, and then it says, "Whoops, that was for my daughter." Remember that one, Wally?
I do remember that one.
Okay,
I do remember, but I do. My daughter's having problems with her bow.
Oh,
Did she not leave that Unabomber yet?
Yeah, but say she leaving the caveman or what?
Well, the problem is, and I'm just gonna give myself a little kudo.
The problem is, besides him peeing in a soda can and leaving it in the living room,
Gatorade bottle. At least he screws the bottle back on. The problem really is, I think that she compares him too much to her dad, me. Well, she expects him to be supportive. I'm a supportive fellow. As fellows go, I'm a supportive fellow. I support my fellow human, my friends, my family. I'm supportive, I think. No, I am. God damn it! I don't think I know I am. I'm relatively supportive of the people who are in my circle, and particularly my close circle, and then the outer realm. I just feel like you're going to throw something at me for some reason. I see, but you can't, because I've been always supportive.
Go ahead, continue.
Have I ever let you down?
I'll have to get back to you on that.
Yeah, I expect I'll see some sort of fucking website next week. the many times that Wally Bruce let me down. Let me count the ways. It'll just be a fucking check-off list. If this is happening, check off here, check off here, check off here. I can see it now. I can just goddamn see it. I just know it's going to happen. I
mean, you have yet to send Chris a legitimate "I love you and I'm so proud of you" text.
I'm thinking. I guess I'm going to have to. I guess I've been remiss. Mm-hmm. I have not supported Chris as much as, and as a matter of fact, when he did tell us that he was laying on the floor, on the cold floor, because he felt so ill, I mocked him. I should have sent him love instead of mocking him.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
You mocked me in the Sheets bathroom.
God, you were laying on the floor in the Sheets bathroom. That's gross.
I think so too. It's fucking. I have. By the way, I have not ever been in a bathroom, any bathroom, men's bathroom, where there isn't piss on the floor somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how that happens. I just don't know. I can't understand it. Jess, you sit right, you hug up to the motherfucker. You think you wouldn't.
I'm going to send you an anatomy book, is what I'm going to do.
No. Listen, I know I've been pissing for 60 plus years. Mm-hmm. I've got it down. Mm. I do not piss all over the floor. It just doesn't happen. Though I did piss on myself the other day.
Oh.
Accidentally, because my shirt, I had my sweatshirt is long in the front, and I was taking my little piss and you normally you're holding the sweatshirt up with your hands while you're doing your thing, and it fell down on us. I feel, what the fuck am I? And when I zipped up, and I felt the sweatshirt, and I was like, what the fuck is? I pissed on myself, and I did.
It starts.
Yeah.
That's how it starts. But you were talking about your daughter, her unsupportive. Oh, sorry, Chris, I was interrupting.
Me.
What? Say it again.
No, that's.
You are cutting out so bad. Oh, and also you muted again. Hello?
Yeah. Just like mirror. Hello?
Are you in the Holland Tunnel?
I guess.
What is going on? I have a feeling that Chris talks a lot more on this show than we know.
And we never know about it.
Yeah, I think so. I think he's probably talking most of the time, and he's probably talking
right now.
Over
he's
us.
Probably screaming, "I have 5 bars."
Look at it. He's going to come back and say, "Oh, I didn't know. I muted. I didn't know I muted you."
No, because we can see when he's muted.
Yeah.
See? Now he's muted. Now he's not muted.
See it. Now he's not muted.
He's not saying anything, but he's not muted.
The fuck? What is going on? What is he ordering food?
Got wireless service brought to you by Live One.
That explains it
Yeah,
all.
you should cancel that.
Yeah. You're gonna find out. You're gonna find out you owe them money.
But while you were talking about your daughter's unsupportive beau.
Yeah, well, just it's just such a. I think it's an epidemic of the men of the age that he is. I just think it is,
And also the age that I am, but continue.
Yeah, oh yeah. I there's some drop off somewhere. I don't know what it is. I don't know. I mean, it's all conjecture on my part and anecdotal bullshit, but it just feels like it doesn't have the and I only say this living through the men and experiences through my daughter and her stories and the experiences she's had with men, and she's had a couple of great men that have been in her life, and then she's had a lot of fucking just these boys with pubic hair. You know, they're not men. They're the age of men, but they're not men. In my they have no interest in taking care of the people they're responsible for. They're interested in themselves and a lot of that bros before hoes kind of bullshit and you know.
Wally, in my experience, that's not limited to any generation. So that's pretty much consistent across the board.
So are we thinking half the men or half the males who have ever been born turn out to be almost men?
I can't put a number on it. I can say that I have met more male people that are problematic than not.
Yeah.
I know plenty who are not problematic. I know of plenty who are not problematic. But especially in the dating realm, I would say more often than not, they're problems.
I think that the men who are not problematic, we tend not to notice because they're going about everyday life and taking care of their business, right?
Also, they're probably, unless they're widowed, they're probably not single.
Yeah, you are probably correct there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that so, and I think the same. There are women who are of the same, but fewer. I think women who are not responsible individuals. So almost whenever I oftentimes you'll hear people say, "Oh, you got a good one there. You're so lucky," and I always used to think, "You're not fucking lucky." But my opinion has changed. Yeah, you might be lucky to find a good one. It might be because, man, when I listen to your experience, Jess, and when I listen to some of my daughter's experiences, man, these guys are good up front. They're good for the first couple of months. When they're trying to woo people in, they're very good at the game.
But also, you have to pay attention. Like it also depends on where you meet them. Like if you're on the dating apps, a lot of times these guys will reveal themselves without meaning to, just in some of the language that they use. But the most flagrant ones, the ones you can most easily dismiss, say things like, "No gold diggers." Motherfucker, you live in your mother's basement. You don't have any gold.
Gold diggers.
Like, we don't need your gold. This is not 1950. We have our own gold.
Yeah, if either side, male or male or female, are throwing around stereotypical sort of vernacular, you can say, okay, fucking throw them away.
Some of these guys, you'll see them on, they listen to podcasts that they shouldn't be listening to because they get really bad information. But you can see them on like YouTube and TikTok and some of the podcasts and stuff where they simultaneously criticize women for being gold diggers and for wanting to work. Well, sir, which is it? Do you want to take care of me or do you not want to take care of me?
Is that the moral majority?
Probably.
That sounds like a religious website.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what that sounds like. That sounds like one of those. Or one of those, who's that misogynist fuck who's like, oh, geez, he a lot of young boys followed him and he still, I think he recently got arrested and put in jail, him and his brother. think they're from Florida or something, but he's a super misogynistic, like
Andrew
women
Tate?
should. Yes, that's it. Slate, did you say? Yes.
Tate.
He that fucking guy he's bad news, and a lot of young men.
And he's the reason for a lot of that shit that gets put out on the internet. God damn it.
Who are you talking about?
Andrew Tate.
Yeah,
who the fuck that is.
Oh, he's a fucking piece of work, this guy.
Somebody gave him a microphone and he preaches to boys about how terrible women are and how women are all gold diggers, and also how dare they want to be independent and take care of themselves and say that they don't need men, and how we need to be put in our place and make sure we know that if we keep it up, we're going to have to live a life without men.
Right. And so women women are there to service men.
Mm-hmm.
There was this religious radio station I worked 4 years ago. The guy that owned the station, he was talking to me one day, and he was saying, the man's place is to work and provide, and the woman should be, taking care of their husband and fulfilling whatever needs he has, whether it's food or whether it's he used food, that was the word he used, whether it's food or whether it's conjugal or blah blah. I'm like,
conjugal.
I'm like, okay. Mm-hmm. So I was married to the feisty Julie at that point, and I told Julie, I said, well, this is what Dr. blah, blah, blah said. She said, well, that's something. How about that? And my car was, I don't know, something wrong. So she dropped me off at work the next day, and she said, I'm going to come inside for a second. I said, okay. And I introduced her. Dr. blah, blah, this is Julie. Hi, so you're the one that thinks my place should be at the home and not on TV, you stupid motherfucker. Is that what you fucking think, you stupid fucking fucker?
Oh, that's great.
Oh, my God.
When I was working in Virginia and very close to Lynchburg and Jerry Falwell and Liberty University, one of the guys who worked with me, and we were friends until this whole thing, he graduated from Liberty University, as did his wife. And then I started learning about him and how he thought she was supposed to be subservient. Interestingly enough, so did she. She thought she was supposed to be subservient.
I think a lot of people who come up in the church believe that.
But particularly in the Baptist, Southern Baptist Church.
And listen, if that's what you want to do for yourself, I'm not mad at you. Do what works for you.
She decided she wanted a job. She started making friends who were no longer, she was out of school, out of Liberty University, and now she was out in the real world, no longer sheltered inside those four walls of the teachings of Jerry Falwell and the group. And she said, I want a job. That fucking marriage broke up real fast, you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I bet.
It broke. It didn't take long that they were fucking at each other, and he couldn't believe what had happened to this woman. Look at her now. She wants to work. She wants to have friends. She's not at home when she should be, blah, blah, blah. It tore them a fucking part.
Look, those people at these colleges, like these girls, they're indoctrinated in a certain way.
Yes,
and I got to tell you, the best blowjob I ever had, girl that came straight out of Bob Jones University. And I'm like, wow, that was something. She's like, well, they keep us separated. It's like, I just, God, this is my favorite thing. I said, it's mine too. Mine too.
Is that in Tennessee?
I think it's in Carolina or Virginia, isn't it?
What's the other?
Tennessee?
Isn't there another? The Bob Jones is another Jones University too. I forget what the other one is, but I know two people who used to rent a house from us. They were both from the Jones. Maybe it was Bob Jones, but they both graduated from the Jones University, a very religious university, and I believe it was Bob Jones or whatever the other Jones one is, and they're since divorced, but they were living this life, and it was so clear to me and my wife that she was a lesbian. There was no doubt in our fucking minds she's a lesbian.
Well, Wally, I don't know whether you're aware of this.
Yes.
Gay people fuck too.
and it was just so. But as she started to come out, so to speak, but as she started to come out of her shell, and she started working and making friends, and so of course they got divorced, and she married a woman, and he's moved on. But they fought it so hard because they had both been indoctrinated in through their college, their religious college, that she was bad for some reason. No, she fucking wasn't bad.
Well, here's a surprising fact. It isn't just limited to religious colleges where people who are gay think that that's a bad thing.
Yeah, I know, but there is an indoctrination. That's what I was playing. That's what I was sort of playing with Chris's. They teach it there, right? You're not learning that at a liberal arts school that being gay is bad, and we're going to teach it in class. At these religious schools, they're teaching you in class.
I mean, chances are people who go to a religious school came up in a family that was already teaching them.
Yeah, partly. So they never, and then when they get out it's so funny how when people get out in the real world and they're able to have their own thoughts and think for themselves and live for themselves, that they suddenly realize, I am not fucking bad. There's nothing wrong with me. Mm-hmm. I'm okay this way. Mm-hmm. It's all right if I'm a woman or a man, to love somebody of the same sex, or the same gender.
God, I wish I could be gay.
I'm sorry, what?
I wish I could be gay.
Why can't you?
Because I am not attracted to women.
Okay. Because that attraction to men has worked so well for you.
That's why I wish I could be gay.
Maybe you try it. Maybe you see what it's like. Maybe I'll watch.
Yeah. Did you say you wanted to watch, Chris?
Yes.
Let me get my camera. Let me make a trip down there. Hey, Jenna, I've got to make a trip down to see Jess.
Yeah, I got to see Jess.
Something with the podcast.
There's a zebra running around the streets outside of Nashville. I got to go see this shit.
Nothing could go wrong with this plan.
There's a problem with Jess's Live One Connect. I've got to go down, and I'm going to bring some of my equipment from my business, see if they're interested.
Like, Chris, I listened to the show last week. You're trying to see Jess with another dyke. That's what you're trying to do.
Yeah, and it is a little mysterious. Jess, there's absolutely no way that Jess is not straight. Because if she were going to be a lesbian, she came up in Ithaca, New York.
Right?
If you're going to be a lesbian and you leave Ithaca, New York, and you're not a lesbian, you're never going to be a lesbian.
Like this, if there was any need for proof that being gay was not a choice, it would be that I am still attracted to men.
Yes. Ithaca, New York is to lesbians as Provincetown is to gay men. Mm-hmm. That's just it. Mm-hmm. I mean, it may be the lesbian capital of the East Coast.
Did I tell you that my friend who was teaching, I don't know the specifics, but he said he was teaching a class for single men, and he asked me to make 3 short videos, one saying the most attractive thing a man can do, one saying the least attractive thing a man can do, and one saying, something that men should know about women. Did I tell you that he asked me to do that?
No.
And he texted me and asked me, and I said, "Are you sure I'm the one you want to make these videos?"
Oh dear.
And he said, "Especially you." And I was like, okay, but for number 2, I'm going to have, like, number 2 being the least attractive thing a man could do. I said, can it be a list?
Now, did you have to use your own, or did he give you what it was and he just wanted you to do the video using whatever he was teaching?
He said, answer those 3 questions.
Oh, okay. Jess, answer those 3 questions, please.
So the most attractive thing a man could do would probably be, see, it's sort of a list anyway, but probably to be kind to people who can't do anything for you, to be supportive, to be genuine, To be
Thank
honest.
God I never hit on you. Jesus
Right?
Christ.
To be funny. The least attractive thing a man can do, breathe.
Did you say breathe?
I did.
She did. She did.
Yes.
Use the phrase gold digger in any context. Ask what a woman brings to the table when she has her own table. Thank you very much.
Never marry a man with a silent H in his name.
Never have a silent H in his name. That's unattractive. Yeah, there's a whole list. And then the thing that men should know about women is that in 2025, we don't need men. So if we let you in, it's because you have something to offer that has nothing to do with your bank account or your career.
Right. So I had been thinking about something in that sort of vein about women, however, and I was thinking about my wife, who, crazily enough, I don't know how I ended up with a woman who was as attractive as my wife. Because,
Well, we don't know either.
yeah, it's
Right.
just, but so I was trying to think, what kind of woman have I traditionally been attracted to? My entire life, girl, woman, when I was in high school to whenever. And I don't know that anybody ever thinks of, but I have always found the most attractive thing in a woman to be intelligence. You know, I've often said, "Oh, I'm a leg man, not a tit man." But it really is. I'm attracted to people who are intelligent. To people in general, but for women, intelligence is really an attractive thing for me. And then kindness, and then a sense of humor. I mean, those are all things. Those are in there, but I am not attracted to fucking idiots. I know lots of people are. They would rather a woman not be smart and not be.
Well, those people want somebody they can manipulate.
Yeah, they want them not to be smart, not be strong, and not have a will of their own. And that, I think that's why I got lucky in my relationship, is that I was attracted to a smart, strong, independent human being.
Which, to me, it brings me back to the whole Andrew Tate conversation, because there are these guys who will comment, like you'll see a TikTok video where a woman says, "I don't need a man for these reasons. Don't ask me what I bring to the table because I have my own table." Like, if I let a man in, it's because he has something to offer. And all of these men who are so threatened by this concept will jump in on the comments and be like, "You're going to spend the rest of your life alone." And the women are like, "Yes, that's not a threat. That's okay. Because I would rather spend my time with myself than with someone who doesn't add value to my life."
Yeah, I guess I get that whole thing. But you've got to believe, or I've got to believe, that it's pliable. Like, I can survive because this. But I would love to have somebody in my life who meshes with me.
Sure, but they have to add value.
Yeah. That it's not a hard stop, right?
I'm fine without it. I would welcome a relationship with someone who added value to my life, but I'm absolutely fine and not sad at all not to have that.
And the value, at least for me, the value for me wasn't, money or all. It's companionship, and it's intelligent conversation, and it's when time is spent together, it's well spent, and it's enjoyable, and you can fight like a motherfucker over important things, and then realize after, the fight was kind of stupid, right? I'm sorry. To be able to do those things together, like it
can't disturb my peace. That's the thing. My peace comes first.
Yeah, I think I think we look at things differently as we get older, right?
For sure.
And as we get more set, and our needs become different. I know my needs as a young man at 25 lot different than my needs at 62.
Listen, I'm still convinced that if somehow I were to find a man who I thought would be appropriate to allow into my life in some way, let's say somehow someone convinced me to get married again, which I doubt will happen, but let's say he can't live here. He can live next door or across the street. Maybe we can buy a duplex. He can't live in my house.
Speaking as an outsider,
but there's a lot to be said. What, Chris?
Obviously, an outsider looking in for the past, I don't know, Jess, what's it been, 15 years? I am pretty sure after Silent H that your door is locked tighter than Fort Dix. Okay, I don't think anybody's getting it.
Fort No Dix.
Right. Fort Dickless.
That is it.
Fort Dickless. That's it. Yeah, I think I was reading something about a trend of late where people in relationships have found comfort in sleeping in separate rooms and in vacationing separately.
God knows I do.
Not all the time, but
I vacationing separately. My work trips are like that, and I do enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, when Jody goes away to visit her sister or has to go away on a work thing for 3 days, I fucking enjoy it. But if she's gone for 3 days or 4 days, day 2, I'm sort of like, well, I'll be glad when she gets back because you need a reprieve.
Yeah,
you need that.
So you're getting the reprise at the end, I believe.
Right, you're getting the reprise at the end. Correct. You need a reprieve. Yeah. You need a little. You need that space. That space, whether it's sleeping in separate rooms, and my wife and I sleep in separate rooms now. It started when my back got broke, and then I couldn't sleep in the bed, and blah. And it's comfortable, and I know it's comfortable for her too, because I snore. And now she gets a good night's sleep. And she'll tell me, hey, look I had an 87 sleep scale. It's good.
Yeah.
We still eat together and we do everything else together. We hang together. We sit and watch television together. We talk about our days. Everything else is the same.
I never want to live with another human again.
Yeah, I like living with my human. I do.
I don't want to. I can live
near. Your experience has been horrible.
Yeah. I mean, to me, though, it's not even just because of my past experience. It's because my house is the way that I want it. My house, I have dogs that sleep in the bed because I like that. And I have things set up in the house, and I don't have to make room for anybody. I don't have to clean anybody's pee off the floor. I don't have to,
And ain't no man going to change that.
Ain't no man going to change that.
Big Mama's talking. Be quiet. Let her go.
Now, you be quiet. Lawrence Welk's coming on the TV now. You all shut up.
Got to watch my programs.
Oh, God damn.
My stories are on.
My stories are on. Yes, they are. All right, you guys, I got to cut out.
All right.
If it's all right, I gotta cut. If it's all right, with your permission, Chris and Jess,
I will allow it.
I was. Well, you were getting kind of hard there at the end, and I thought that I might be in trouble. I don't want anybody talking on the microphone that I can see.
Ain't nobody living in Ginger's house.
When Ginger talks, people listen.
And when people don't listen to Ginger, people walk. That's what happens.
Snap, snap, motherfucker. Someone's getting kicked in the ass.
That was the first wife's best thing, because she had what I will call a black streak in her. And she would go off at somebody like Minister what's his name. Okay. And say, so you think that's the way it is? Let me just tell you something. Okay. This is the way it is. And it's not. And then you count 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. Shit, motherfucker. Listen, this is what's going on. I lived through that. It was.
She clapping? Was she clapping back at you too?
She was. She was, like you were there.
Clapping back at you and putting out that index finger with that one long fingernail.
Chris, I don't know why you divorced her. She sounds great.
Yeah.
My dad and I talked. I said, Dad, what would happen if you think Julie and I had stayed together? He says, oh, simple. You would have killed yourself. Okay, good.
But both of you have had such wonderful, wonderful marriages.
I did. Even my second marriage was wonderful. That was
Well,
great.
That's a story for another show.
It is, because
Oh, Lord.
gay people fuck too. See you next time.
Bye.
All right.